as that baby is being formed in the womb, the first thing that is created is the mind. Because the head comes first. So the brain is the cell that's first being created. Am I making sense? I don't want to go too far, too deep. We got a panel, but I just want to lay a foundation. Brother asked me to share a few words. So since the brain is created first, whatever thoughts that woman is thinking, she is feeding the brain of the life that's coming into existence in that co-creation, in that incubator of a new being coming into existence. So if she's disrespected, if she doesn't respect herself, if she's feeding on, because it's not just what you eat, it's what you think. Those two things together elevates the human being. So if she is not thinking right, if she has low thoughts of her own self, then whatever is being created in the womb, those thoughts go there. So she is a co-creator with God who was there even before she knew she was pregnant. In that womb to bring that life and to shape that human being into existence. So we can't blame the condition of our children on nobody else. Yeah, they are external enemies, sure enough. But we have to be the watch persons over our communities. And as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us, that all starts with the condition of our women. They have to know that they can walk down the street and be protected. And you should know by now that we can't wait on the police to be the protector. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Oftentimes they are the aggressor. So we have to become the protectors. We have to become the elevators. We have to provide an environment by which they can attain to the highest level of civilization so that they can then rear children that will reflect that high civilization. So in the Nation of Islam, how many more? Let me wrap it up. In the Nation of Islam, we often will, in our formal meetings, we'll separate the brothers on one side and sisters on the other side. Why? Because we are establishing in our community, in our culture, that female is like she's in protected territory. You ever been to the zoo and they got a bird they call sanctuary? They got the birds enclosed so that they can't get out, and so that the weasel and the fox and the predators can't get in. And then in that environment they're able to flourish. They can eat when they want to eat, they can fly when they want to fly, they can do whatever they want to do in a protected space. And so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad set up classes designed for the woman to be re-educated, not from slave culture, but back to her original self. She is the original, she's the creator. She's the original queen of the planet Earth. Some of us were so happy. What's the sister's name that married the prince and so-called prince in England? What's her name? Margaret. We were so fired up. We on social media. Oh, so wonderful. Look at the royal family. No. She didn't marry into royalty. He married into royalty. She the original queen. He should be, I gotta tell it to you straight, that caveman is happy to get himself an original queen. Right. He married royalty, not the other way around.
That's right.
So we have to change how we view a thing. But they know that since they've taught us to view them that way, we don't have the right perspective. So we thought it was an honor to integrate into that. When we are now being taught, no, we're the first, we're the parents, we're the original. We brought all this to the world. Right. We taught mathematics and science. And so as we return to ourselves, they will be clamoring to come get back with us. Right. Because now we are being retaught what high civilization looks like. And you don't measure that by brothers.
Right. Yes.
Sorry, black man. I know you like to look fly. You got your gaiters on, and your mustache is edged up, and we got the fly cut. But guess what? That you just represent one person.
Right. That's right.
Civilization is measured by its women.
Right.
When you see high refined women, you see a highly refined culture. Right. And you see disciplined, refined children. Right. So the Bible says it like this, you know, the heaviness or the foolishness of a child is the responsibility of the mother. We want to get all the credit, but it's really on her. As great as a child is, she gets the credit. Right. Wild buck wild children, she gonna get the dot.
That's right.
But ultimately, We have to set the stage so she can work out in big fields.
Right.
Starting with that future.
Yeah.
Honorable Mr. Farrakhan said this generation of children is the greatest we ever produced.
That's right.
The greatest. But what are we going to do with it? If you don't nurture the seed, it falls back to the earth.
That's
If it
right.
don't germinate, we got to wait a whole other generation for another great
That's right.
generation to come forward. But we got the opportunity right now, if we would have the right mentality and focus, and brother, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. Well, she ain't acting right, so she shouldn't be taught how she shouldn't be treated such and such and so, because she ain't acting right. The Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan told us, brother, God made you first.
Right.
So since you was first, you act right first.
That's right.
And if you act right first, then she will submit. Her nature is to follow her righteous example. That's why in the church it's filled with women, because they love themselves from Jesus.
Right.
You know why? Because they can't find too many black men acting like Jesus.
Right.
So they're going to at least bow down to a fictional one until that real one show up. It's you and me. We're the real one they're looking for. And they will submit to that if we act like that.
Yes.
But they tired of submitting to dogs. Am I right, sisters?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. I think somebody they ain't even going to try to submit to that no more. But when you reverse that D-O-G and turn it to how it's supposed to act, G-O-D,
Yes, sir.
then they will be more than willing to follow behind God and help God in the co-creation of a new community. So this is about raising up a community. This panel is about how the woman is the foundation of that, of a new community, a new civilization, and ultimately a new nation. But it starts block by block, individual by individual, and hopefully what they share with us will give us some enlightenment so that we will leave here more resolved, that we will be helpers in elevating our community, helpers in elevating our women and protecting them, and helpers in making sure that they can become the women that God wants them to become, not what our enemies want them to become. We were not loose men and women until we got here, on these shores. But prior to that, everyone around the planet came to where we live to see what civilization really looked like. And now it's the opposite. So we're gonna flip that script.
That's right.
With God's permission. So I just thank you for allowing me to share a few words. Our brother Levon, I'm sure, will MC and take over the rest of the program. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum. Let's give our brother a round of applause.
And the brother had a lot of keynotes, and it's very imperative that what he shared is real. Brothers, we have the most precious gift that God given, and that's the black woman. And speaking of black women, I got to make sure I do my due to create brownie points so I can keep those hot meals coming. I like to shout out my beautiful wife. She's coming up and say, "Oh, sweetheart." That's right. That's how. My wife is a blessing, and she's carrying my seed, carrying twins. So not one, but she's carrying two. So I got to give homage and respect to my queen at all given times.
Right.
So I look forward to my nice hot brownies when I get home, and my nice hot, anyway. Yeah, but yes, we gonna start the program. We have a clip from Roland Martin where he speaks about missing females and how important it is that this epidemic continues to grow because we're not paying attention. Because we're not paying attention, this is why it's so easy for so many missing young girls to come about. Our panelist, Sister Sudan, she is very heavily into the community where they deal with missing women because prostitution is at an all-time high now. Okay, so these are our young girls being a prostitute just for, she shared with me one time that they prostitute for hair. Some just are selling their body, not for food, not for shelter, not to pay for their place to live. They actually sell themselves in order to buy expensive hair to look a certain way. So we are dealing with a sickness in our community. So I'm going to let this play, then we're going to let the panelists do what they do best.
Black and Latinos, most of them female, were reported missing in Washington, D.C. Their names are Taylor Ennis, Jacqueline Lassie, Yeshaya Enoch, Antoine Jordan, Juliana Elizabeth Otero, Deshaun Trakia Wallace, Ania McNeil, Dayana White, Talisha Coles, and Morgan Richardson. Fortunately, Metropolitan DC Police Department now says Taylor Ennis and Antoine Jordan have been located and are safe. But the other 8 young people, and so many more both here and around the country, remain missing. Here's a broader look at these numbers. According to the FBI, of those reported missing in 2014, the last year for which stats have been compiled, 60% were white, 37% were minority, 3% the race was unknown. Now I broke it down by gender. Males accounted for just over 315,000 reported missing persons, while females accounted for just over 320,000 people. Joining us via phone, Derica Wilson, CEO and founder of the Black and Missing Foundation. Derica, first of all, any information specifically about these missing young folks here in D.C.?
Well, I know that the police and our organization, we are actively looking for these missing kids. No particular information, however, we know right here in the metropolitan area that human trafficking is on the rise. A lot of people think this is happening abroad, but this is happening right here in our own backyard. And I think the numbers are staggering and alarming, to say the least.
And when we talk about this human trafficking, I mean, people have to understand, as a part of this game, literally, you have 12, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls who are being used.
Absolutely, and the predators are being so sophisticated nowadays. They're utilizing social media to recruit these youth. And, you know, we as parents need to monitor what our children are doing. And we always encourage families to create fictitious accounts to actually see what information their children are getting out. Because in so many of our cases with these missing teens around that age range, they are turning to the social media platform and putting so much information out there, and they find themselves in danger.
So when you say so much information, are you saying that with various apps which can actually show where you are at a given time, with a location on it as well, that literally predators out there can track folks and be able to snatch them up?
I'm saying as simple as telling them the problems that they have at home, as far as like with teenagers, they don't want to listen to their parents, telling them where they live, telling them what school they attend, and these people are hiding behind the screen, so they're going to tell these children exactly what they want to hear. And so they're turning to these people as a comfort, and by the time they get with them, they feel like they're so comfortable, like they're the only person that knows and understands them, not realizing the intentions of these predators.
When we look at these cases here, well, often, again, it's just no surprise to you that national media pretty much hasn't done anything on these missing young folks.
It's definitely not a surprise. That's why my sister-in-law and I created the organization to bring awareness to these cases. And to say that media doesn't work is an understatement. I mean, if I may share, just yesterday, we had a missing autistic girl out of Baltimore, and we got the media coverage, we got the FBI, and working with Baltimore Police and Prince George's County Police, we were able to find this young girl who the police actually stated that they believed that it was a human trafficking situation in Lower Maryland. But if we didn't utilize this media platform and the cooperation of our community being vigilant and law enforcement, we would have still been looking for this young girl who had been missing since last Wednesday with autism.
And the thing that is amazing to me is that what we are seeing, that by not reporting this, pretty much, if you're out there in the human trafficking business, you just have a clear runway because you're confident nobody's going to say a word.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're gonna move forward with the panelists and have discussion. We got enough information based on the information that Brother Martin has given and started off. So. So with that being said, we'd like to start off from the far right. You'd like to introduce yourself and what you do, what you contribute to the panel, and then we can move forward. Sister.
Yes. My name is Lakeisha Davis Small. I am a survivor of sexual abuse. I have a movement called Stop Stealing Our
On the
Souls.
5 and 10 o'clock news cycle, there's just so many platforms out there. We appreciate you even shining the spotlight.
Yes. I have a movement called Stop Stealing Our Souls, putting an end to sex exploitation. So that covers sex abuse with women, men, elderly, and children, because no one is left out of being touched unwantedly. So I'm here to share my story and help the community. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, or peace and great blessings. My name is Sister Sudan Muhammad. I'm known as a street reporter. I'm the founder of my family and I Youth Creation Community Outreach Magazine. Basically what we do, we go out into the community, we talk to people, we interview people, and we offer a platform for them to share their stories.
Greetings, everyone. I am Al Kumar. Hanif and I share a platform called the Empower Hour. It's a weekly radio program, online radio program, where we tackle these tough topics, sort of like the ones you see today. So that's where we bring our expertise to light.
Yes. Hi, I'm Hanifa, and like Alhama, she sort of semi-introduced me already. And actually, I work with the foster care and adoption agency. I am a trauma specialist, so when I'm hearing the stories, I'm nodding my head like, yeah, because these are some of our clients as well. So it's nice to be here, and thank you for the honor.
So one of the things that we would like to do is engage in the conversation. You know, this is not something like a classroom, but this is like a family discussion at the kitchen table, pretty much. You know, with the aunties, the big brothers, the sisters here. You know, this type of discussion and any question that we can have or any solutions, that's what we're looking for. Because one of the things that we're looking to do in this community is create a local organized community where we create an LOC for Fort Washington. And also create the 10,000 Feelers as well, where we're looking to get black men involved in policing our community. So therefore, our sisters, when they get off the bus, the train station, wherever they're coming from, they know that they got a group of brothers waiting there to make sure that they're safe, going about their business without being harassed, or we can de-escalate a problem before it arises. This is where us as men come into play. So we have to be on our post at all given times. So with that being said, sister, you'd like to share your story with the people here. By all means, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Okay, so I was raised in Washington, D.C. I was born at Howard University, 1979. I don't mind telling my age. I'm 39 years old. I was raised by a single father. My mom left due to drugs, actually. My mom was pulled out into the street because she was insecure. And I hate to, call a spade, but she was searching for love in all the wrong places. And she thought my father could love her the way only God could love her. And she ran into the devil and he took her away from me. So my dad was left as my sole provider. So I'm hard on men because I know you all can do it alone without a woman. So to speed up my story, because I don't want to take away from the panel, but my dad worked 24 hours a day just about. He was a manager at a fruit stand on Georgia Avenue called... It was right there by the Ibex. I'm not sure. But to make a long story short, he trusted family, as we all do. He trusted that his nieces would babysit me as he worked, constantly around the clock. He assured them to take care of, me as far as dropping off money and food. He's a provider. So he asked his grown nieces who were in their 20s, who had children my age already, to watch me. However, they went out to the club one night. We were on Park Road Northwest, and they asked their brother, who was 21 years old, to watch us. So when they went to the club, my cousin proceeded, he actually sodomized me, which is rectal rape, how men get raped. Boys get raped. So I was sodomized. And what's interesting is that I was told that he was raped in foster care. And this was a cycle in which he was raping his nieces and nephews before I spent the night, that night, right? So when my cousin actually went to jail for assaulting me and giving me gonorrhea, okay? A 5-year-old, I'm sorry, I meant to tell you all, I was 5 years old. When he went to jail, my cousins, male and female, said thank you because Uncle Michael went to jail. You freed us up from the abuse because we told our mothers. We told them Uncle Michael was touching us, and they said, well, he's sick because he was touched. Something happened to him, but it's okay. The food's on the stove, and we're going out, and it's okay. We're family. So they were feeding the monster, So I just happened to be a guest spending the night. I did not live there. But I was able to retrieve my police report in 2017 after this event happened in 1984. And in the police report, from what I discovered and what I wrote in my autobiography, is only what my mind remembered. But the police report stated that it was more detrimental than what I even remembered. Because the police report stated, and I found the officer who took my statement, after all these years, it was said that I was there out of my mouth in the report. I said I was there for 4 to 6 weeks, and he would wait until it was nighttime to come in the room and do what he did to me. So it happened more than that one time. So they covered it up whenever my dad came around. Oh, Lakeisha's asleep, or she's out with such and such, or she's this, she's that. My dad never knew. He was feeding off me for a very long time. I just thought it was one time. So he went to jail. He did 8 years. He actually walked himself to the precinct. And from what the report said as far as his testament, he wanted to satisfy his lustful desires for me, his arousal for a 5-year-old child. So I laugh and I smile sometimes, and people say, hey, this is a serious situation. Why are you laughing and smiling? Because I believe over the years I've tricked my brain to be able to handle serious things. And I have to take it and be strong, because if I don't, I will be dead, strung out on drugs, a prostitute myself, or a stripper, whichever one, because a lot of things come with that sexual abuse. I just went to see Whitney Houston's movie yesterday. Do you all know she was sexually abused by her cousin, Dionne Warwick's sister? That's why she was messed up. She was hurting. Nobody knew what she was going through. She was confused because she never told her mom. She never told anyone. So she was battling with these feelings. So my movement is called Stop Stealing Our Souls. Because when you touch someone, whether you molest them or rape them, you steal a part of them. They can never get back. I understand evolving and growing. Don't dwell on the problem. Move forward. But baby, moving forward is a lot of work.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of work. A lot of husbands who are married to women who have been sexually abused can tell you it's a lot of work. And patience. The patience of Job. So, I'm here. You have any questions? I have books here today also. If you have any questions, just let me know. My books, if I could give them away to you, I would. I only sell them for $10. But this is my life, my truth. And I'm determined to share my pain and help. I'm not going to just sit on it. I'm going to help. I'm in a community fighting fighting, not just posting pictures on Facebook and, hey, I was at this event, cheese. No, I'm out here fighting, getting calls from people that's telling me their kids, they found their child hanging and they hurried up and had to get them down because they was raped and they didn't want to tell mommy their cousin so-and-so did it because I know my mommy gonna kill them. It's kids scared to tell their parents because they know their parents gonna handle it. It's real out here. Come on, we gotta stop this. You know, so I'm here. You all have any questions, please ask me.
That was very powerful, sister. We want to thank you for having the courage. It takes courage. A lot of us have hidden pains within ourselves that we don't want to tell nobody, even our closest, our spouse. But the sister just shared a testimony, her trial. That's a hard trial to show how strong, because the theme is talk about black women, how strong she is. You're a beautiful sister.
Thank you.
You came in here, you're still smiling. And it's okay to smile, it's okay to laugh, sister. Whatever works.
That's right.
Whatever mechanism you gotta use,
Yes.
you use it because you use it to inspire, and you're not giving your books away. We're gonna support you. We gotta stop doing our community.
That's right.
Hookups.
That's right.
You gotta get the habit, the hookups. Whatever you charge for your books, you'll be sold out today, sister.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, praise be to God. So today, share a little bit about what you do in the community as well, because this is the does, and that's our husband, Brother Rima, right here. And these two right here are like the ultimate dynamic duo as far as the stuff they do in the community. She's very adamant, she's very passionate, and she feeds the homeless, resentless. She's a hard force. And that's part of what this program is about, to link up together. This is not just a program for this is from today. This is going to be something we continuing with the course of action to move forward. So with that being said, Sister Dan, please share what you do, sister, and anything that you want to give to the listening audience.
Well, I'm here to share this. I'm so grateful to Allah that He inspired me to start a magazine called Youth Creation Community Outreach. What I did was I did a survey. I went to 100 youth between the ages of 11 and I'm going to say 21, 22. And I asked individuals a series of questions. What would you like to see as a change in this community? All of the answers was basically the same, synonymous with parenting. I was blown. I was blown. I met so many children in this community that shared with me, confided with me that they were being molested. Fathers are taking up their daughters now. Fathers in the house. You can't trust anybody today. I'm sorry. Fathers are having sex with their daughters and their sons. Now you have worked with a sister, Make It Teller, in Washington, D.C. She's out on the street. She did a raw data survey. When all these children were missing, male and females in D.C., our young brothers, because they don't have jobs. We didn't set up jobs for these children. They want to make money. They're getting paid $500 per girl they snatch. Per girl they snatch. If you snatch 2 girls, you get $1,000 that day. So they setting our girls up, taking them out to dinner or whatever. You think you're going out with one young man, and you being set up now. You in Vegas. You in another country right now. This is real. This is what's happening. This is why they so bold. By the Iverson Mall, you could put a sign up and say porn. You're looking for actresses in a porn movie. You want to put that stuff out on the street? Are you kidding me? And when I say something, I saw it's a Caucasian guy who walks through Marlow High Shopping Center with young boys. You don't have a basketball team? You got young boys. Every time I see you with a different young man, I'm saying something and people telling me to mind my damn business. Black men, you need to mind your business. These are not your children. They are my children. I'm no good if I'm okay because my children have a father and I'm okay. And I see these children suffering. You need to go sit down somewhere. Our babies are suffering. They're dying. They're prostituting. Me and my daughter, since 2004, what we did was we started doing hair in the community, because if they're prostituting because they're buying into what they see on television, they're being programmed, mommy home. So you're watching reality TV. So you see that it looks good to have your hair done, your nails done, the latest iPhones. And let me say this again, and I don't mean to jump around. Children as young as 11 and 10 years old are recruiting, little girls are recruiting other little girls into the porn industry. They in the libraries. You sitting in the library with your children, they're recruiting our children. Okay, you don't have a phone? I know what you can do. Give me your number. Our babies are being recruited. Everybody needs to be watched today. I'm serious. I'm full, there's a lot I can say, but I'm going to just leave it at that. We just need to be vigilant, and we need to be careful, and everybody needs to be watched today. I hear so many stories. I'm so grateful for Sister Wanda, because if I didn't get a therapy session, I would probably be smoking crack myself somewhere or drinking because of the stuff that I hear. Little girls telling me, I need to tell you something. And I know what they're going to tell me. I'm trying to change the subject. And one little girl went off and took her fist with force and hit my steps and said, listen to me. I said, oh my God, I just bust out crying. Her brother and his friends raping his baby. This is what's going on in our community on a daily basis. I just wanted to share that.
These are very serious issues. I know it can be a little, but we have to face the reality that we're dealing with. And one of the beauties that we have in the panel here is that these things will stay in our mind. So we got to make a conscious decision. Do we just want to listen, or are we going to do something about it? It's not just their problem or some politicians. It's not what they're here for. Okay, they're serving a whole different master. Okay, this is our problem. So I think Sister was sharing that with us, Sister, and continue to do what you're doing. Like I said, I made my promise to my sister and to my brother that I will support all that she does to the best of my ability to make sure this information gets out. Me and the brother hit the community very hard, and we got to continue with this fight. So hopefully, with the men that are here, that we can sign up and say, hey, brother, we're here to help out so the sister's not out there by herself. And we got to make sure we watch our brother's back with his wife, because he's working. We got to make sure she's protected. That's how we do it now. Right. So thank you. Sister White, you have the floor, Sister. How do you feel about what just been said and stuff that you contribute, Sister?
Well, I'm blown away. Of course, unlike I'm sure most of us here in the room. And one of my goals and missions is to raise awareness around these type of issues, which is very important. It's one thing, like you said, brother, to hear what's being said and shake your head and go home, and you never talk about it or hear about it again. But it's another thing to take this information and get it out there in the airways as widely and as broadly as humanly possible, so more of us can be aware and can understand and can help protect our families and other people in our communities. So that is part of my mission with the Empower Hour and other platforms, that to raise awareness around these issues so we can come together collectively as a community and do something about it. You know, it's long since time for us to talk about it and get upset and get enraged, and then that's it. And in the meantime, our children are still suffering and dying. So we have to do something about this, and we have the power within our community to fix these issues. So yeah, that's what I have to say about it.
Sister, what is your perspective from what you hear? I mean, that you had so much to absorb before it got to you.
Yes.
What is your perspective on what you expect from our sisters?
In just listening to everyone, I heard what I heard just from the conversation. Our community, we have a number of barriers. One being desensitization, apathy, individualistic way of thinking, and unresolved trauma. And what I do know is that when it comes to these type of topics, even people who call themselves in the field doing the work, when you begin to tell the details of what has happened to you, you'll see people try to shut it down. Ew, I don't want to hear it. But this is the work that you're trying to do. I need you to hear it. You need to hear it. You need to understand the reality of this. And so the desensitization that we're seeing in our communities today, this is why people are slow to act. You know, it's not my business. It's not your business. You know, we don't have a village approach as African people anymore. We've taken on the mindset and the behavior of those that oppress us, which is an individualistic way of thinking. That is not us. That is not us. We have always been a... One thing I do observe with our people is that we run away from feelings. The reason why a lot of people don't want to touch this topic, abuse being a big one, pedophilia in our community, is because they have not dealt with their own things. And so if you're forcing me to talk about this, then you're forcing me to face my own trauma. Now you're in my business. Now you're in my attic trying to ask me to unpack some black men. Black men are gods, right? But they are also wounded. And what I'm finding is the lack of protection that we're seeing from our black men is because they themselves have a ton of trauma. And a lot of it is sexual abuse, which we do not talk about. And they do not have those safe spaces and those pockets that women often have, and services and protection, and where we can come together as sisters and cry. Our men don't have that.
That's right.
And so what do? They're trying to be fathers with that trauma. They're trying to be good, upstanding men with that trauma. But when it comes to protecting their own, sexual abuse, I'm not talking about just their children, because my child is your child and your child is my child, right? So when you see with our men, what I'm realizing, and I've had the experience of talking to like maybe about 3 men in just this year alone. Sexual abuse by babysitters, women babysitters, you know, and to the point where in our community it's almost celebrated. Oh, she took your virginity. No, he was 12 and she was 20. That's not cute. That's not cute. That is rape. That is assault. Okay, but our men, and because of the way the society tries to socialize our men, that this is what makes you a man. No, because now a 12-year-old mind is now warped around sex and intimacy and what that looks like. That is a problem, because then now we're trying to come together with these men. Broken me, who haven't dealt with my trauma, trying to come together with broken him and raise whole children. That's impossible. So just listening to just everyone, I'm just like, how do we attack desensitization? How do we deal with apathy in our community? How do we start to connect to each other again, so that when you hurt, I can feel that. When I'm hurt, I may not have to open my mouth, but something is thrown off. The balance is off, and so the community is triggered. Someone is not right in the community.
That's right.
Okay? If your big toe gets hit today, you can't sit down and comfortably read your best book. It's not going to happen, because you're in pain. A part of your body is in pain, and then it messes with every other part of your body. That's how we're supposed to be as a people. So just finding ways in how do we attack that, and how do we begin to kind of like dismantle a lot of these ways of thinking, you know, around community, around fatherhood, around protection, around womanhood, around parenting. You know, just finding ways in how we can, that's sort of me, where do we start? And for me, it's healing, but what does that healing look like? And healing cannot just be around about the woman. Our men need healing too.
That's right.
How do we do that? How do we support them in that as women, as black women?
Yeah, my name is Reverend Oliver, and I want to thank each one. I'm glad I stayed. I got here a little earlier, because I was really touched by everything that everyone said, and I'm glad, you know, I might be a little older, but I still have a 9-year-old. And so happy my 9-year-old has a sleepover on 7, 8, 9. And my wife sent me a picture. She took a picture of me sitting this morning telling my daughter, my daughters, that uncle, when I say uncle, she's my daughter, telling me, no, I'm the daughter, the rest of them, so you're the daddy of ours. So, you know, so that was my conversation, but what was my conversation is centered around my ministry. And my ministry is family values, you see. And while we're there, it has everything to do with the holy place. Now, just this morning, before I left coming here, I was telling them, why are you friends? Why are you friends? Is it because, no, it's sitting around our ministry. What is it? They said, oh, we live for the sake of others, we be kind. I said, no. Because you all are growing up with a certain thought process. Protect the holy place. And all of you will have to help each other protect that holy place. Because that's a sacred place. So I was just talking to my daughter. So the first thing I was just thinking when we were talking, you said something profound, and she said, and everyone has said something profound. You know, the trauma, all we have to deal with that. But it's something I said to you this morning. You said, you know, we as people of African descent, you know, a little late, you know, and I said, apples don't fall far from the continent, you know. So there's a DNA in there that continuously allow us to what? Still be late sometimes. And we get it from Africa, trust me. And so I have a saying right now, deal with this. And we deal with our children are confronted as we have left the shores of Africa. Black people, well, this is beyond religion. Black people are conservative on Sunday, but liberal on Tuesday. Liberal on Tuesday, they are voting. We are voting for cheese. So we lead our conservative values and into voting for cheese, leaving ourselves vulnerable to this kind of system that has systematically destroyed the conservative values that we tapped from Africa. That's still in us. So if that DNA is still with us being late, that conservative DNA is still in them children. And how we can tap into that conservative DNA. It's not conservative like a conservative party. We're conservative on principle because we are the origin of we have to be retaught. He said something very powerful there. We have to be retaught what the true civilization looks like because it's in our DNA. Just has to be remolded. That's all we're talking about right now. So my thing is we have a big problem. You know, we have a big problem as an African community beyond the Muslim or Christian or whatever. We're the same common suffering from the same DNA, regardless. And that is our conservative stance. Why is Honorable Minister Farrakhan can speak? He's still the moral conscience of this nation. He's a Muslim. Why Martin Luther King can speak? And he can bring the nations to the knees like a Muslim. Because it comes from our conservative values that God can speak through. Is it not in our DNA of our children? My point is, how do we now touch the children? Because I always say to people like this, and I conclude, no matter what, even those kids there, if I come to this brother, and he's from a Muslim background, from a Christian background, or we're from the hood, I say, look, we all, that's that DNA. Then we know better. How do we tap into that as a construct to begin to heal the wounds that we have, when I look at that picture, that we have inherited from the 400 years being here, but that we have to rise and be the people. And we have already proven to be the people, the moral conscience of this nation. And in that generation, we have to tap into that generation. So my point is, in conclusion, when I listen to it, it saddens my heart to hear that, but also what we can do to begin to understand. Are we teaching the boys about the sanctity of this down there? Or are we grandizing our boys that it's okay to do that, but it's okay. We say protect the women, we need to protect the men from the wrong concept of his holy place down here. Thank you.
Thank you. And one of the key things that I heard the sister said, it ties in what you said, sir, desensitized. So I like to think of something spiritual to about Adam and Eve, how the serpent, you know what I'm saying, caused them to deviate. We all know snakes don't talk, but we use it for metaphoric purposes right now. So what is the serpent of today? The serpent of today is the television, the cell phone, what causes us to deviate from the path God gave us. All of us have a God conscious within. Your conscience says not to do something, it's telling you to stay away. You know what I'm saying? But we have that free will to choose to either obey that voice that's telling us what's right from wrong, or be part of the world. So she made a great point. What is causing us to deviate? That's part of the key question that we can ask ourselves. Because some of us, you go to the mosque, you go to the church, but we'll sit there and watch a reality show that goes against every principle that we learned. You said that, hey, we used to say amen a little while ago. You just said praise be to Allah a little while ago, but yet we're watching a reality show that's demeaning our people for monetary gain. And it's keeping us deaf, dumb, and blind. Because while you're watching that, where does that deviate you from elevating yourself from? A lot of us probably got books that we should be reading. A lot of us got a lot of ministers or the minister, so we can be watching and get the tools to be able to help sisters like this in the community. Well, what are we doing with our spare time? So that's a fair question we need to ask that. What do we do with our spare time when we get information? When we hear testimonies like this, what do we do with it? So I'm going to ask you this, sister. What would you love to see? You could be as forward as possible, because guess what? You do have, I'm saying, within the nation, I'm pretty sure other churches too, black men, we are taught to die and kill for you. Okay, you are sisters. That's the whole panel. Okay, so now you are now adopted into the nation. So when we see you, that's our sister right there. So if you got an issue, you got Brother Warren, you got Brother Rima, Brother Shaka, myself, Brother Larry. All you gotta do is say, booty boo. And we cut that, but I'm saying, you know, I'm being funny, but I'm just saying that to let you know that you do have hopes. So when you go back and you talk to your peers, you can say they were actually black men who cared about my well-being. So what do you want to see from your brothers?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked. Thank you.
Yes.
I've been waiting. So, what I would like to see ASAP this summer, before the summer's out, is for my brothers to have a male circle event, inviting all men, right? But don't tell them that we'll be discussing sexual abuse, because they won't show up. Tell them we'll be talking about domestic violence, because it's the truth. It is a part of domestic violence. But I want my brothers to get the men together, right? So we can ambush them and get some pain up out of them and get some truth, so we can start healing, so they can go back to their wives and their children and be better men. Because like the sister said, you know, we have desensitized, and then we don't want to unravel because it's just too much. So we need brothers that when the other brothers start unraveling, you there to catch them, because they're going to need you. I'm willing to sit in a room with all the men and say, hey, if any of you been raped, I've been raped just like you. And might wreck them. That's how men get raped. I had a man raped by a female with a pole. She drugged him in Washington, D.C., a 25-year-old man, and she was in her 40s. Met him at the gas station, exchanged numbers, invited him to dinner. Beautiful home. Had some wine. He was feeling woozy. He's a part of my movement now. He was feeling woozy. This man said he woke up in her living room on the floor in a pile of blood, and she was watching TV. And he fainted again and came back to and grabbed his clothes and ran. And when he went to the hospital, they did a sexual assault kit. They couldn't find any DNA because she used the instrument. This man now gets surgery, he's had so many surgeries, and he will still have more. So this is serious. Our brothers are hurting. There was a man who came to the rally I had in Ward 8. I'm from Northwest D.C., but I came in Southeast because I see so much pain over there. It's pain everywhere, but I see a lot. This young man came to me with tattoos on his face, everything. And he said, sister, I want to buy a shirt from you. I only have $3, right? At first I said, well, you could get a button. It's only $5. You know, I'll take the $3. He came back to me, sister, I really need a shirt. Now I only have $1. I said, you can have the shirt. Keep your $1, right? He had on a Versace shirt. Looked like it was brand new. He threw it in the trash and put my shirt on. Because he was saying, hey, sister, what happened to you happened to me. And this shirt don't even mean nothing no more. Thank you for coming to save me, because nobody ever thinks about the men. He said he had kids, he had a family and everything, but his girlfriend didn't know that he was raped until that day. So, brothers, I'm here, I'm ready. I don't just talk, I make moves. Let me tell you something. I went to, the Mosque number 4?
Yes, ma'am.
I grew up a Baptist. I'm non-denominational now, right? But Farrakhan had an event, and he was speaking on the screen from Chicago, but, you know, people were invited, and he was talking about sexual abuse. I will never forget. So I went, right, and I'm sitting there, my first time ever in a mosque, and I'm sitting there, and I'll never forget, he said, women, stop letting these men abuse your children. You know, make them stop. If you got to kill them, right? So I went to my dad. He was in the hospital. I'll never forget. I said, Daddy, I'm about to become a Muslim. I said, Farrakhan, a man after my own heart. And he started laughing. He was like, and ever since then, I read up on him. I follow him. I'm friends with Halima Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad's granddaughter, Elijah and Claire Muhammad's granddaughter. And I talked to her about these issues and these situations. And Sudan, me and her have been in safe houses. She came out to the rally. We are here to help. But let me tell you something. If anybody has a chance to tell Louis Farrakhan, Lakeisha Davis Small, Lakeisha X, look. Tell them that you all talk to me. I've been following him ever since he said that. Ever since he said that. Because it's real. Keep your hands to yourself.
This is to be a student minister, right? Yes. But you said something that we do have something coming up this Monday. This was supposed to come later on, but we plan, but Allah plan allows us to plan. So we have something this Monday, sister, the FOY class that we're inviting all the men to come. Bring your sons, co-workers, bring all the men, no matter who they are, come to this very important meeting. We're going to do a lot of the teachings, drilling, some of the martial arts, what have you, and a lot of the words, any questions that you may have, please come out, sisters. If you know any of these young brothers, and we need to pick them up, give my information. Some of us will be able to pick them up. Even though we're in Fort Washington, we're willing to come and get them and bring them back. We're willing to do that. We're willing to do that. No matter where they are, we're willing to do that. So those brothers you're talking about, those are our brothers too. So this Monday coming up, we have an open house for all the men, for men only, to talk with other men. Yes, and some of us are damaged people too, as that for a while. You know, we thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he shares his testimony with us as well, sister. So even though I have my trials, every brother who's at FOY has their trials, but guess what? We have each other to lean on. This is why we have FOY class. So we have those conversations among men. When we don't come home, guess what? We're not at the bar, we're not at the club. We at our class trying to do better for our wives and our community. Okay? So that's why it's important that he shares with us that we marry sisters who understand that we are soldiers for this cause. So yes, once again, this Monday, in pieces, I'm going to stick in our head. This Monday, we are having an open forum for all men to come on out and be part of what we're doing. Please spread the information. We have flyers in the back. So thank you for opening that door for us. So with that moving forward, Sister Dan, do you have any programs that you have coming up that we can share with the family?
We have a fashion show coming up, but I have to get the right, to make sure we were able to secure that location. But that's what we have coming up, a fashion show.
Okay. Sister, come on, what do you have for us, sister?
You mean as far as events?
Anything you want to share with us, sister? This is the topic. Yes, ma'am.
I work real closely with the owner-operator of Everlasting Life Vegan Restaurant, Capitol Heights, and I'm one of the events coordinators there. So we do a myriad of different things. We always hosting different events. We got a few, some scholars coming up on the 15th, what's the brother, Layla Africa will be, if you're not familiar with him. He's one of the premier scholars on melanin and how, the power of melanin. So that's coming up, and Professor James Small, things of that nature. You and I are talking about an upcoming event soon there at the restaurant. So definitely stay plugged in. I just was wanting to share, as the sister was speaking, and I started thinking about as it relates to the brothers. Just yesterday, I saw a little blurb online about Chris Brown. Not sure if you guys are aware. He's back in trouble again. He just got arrested the other day for assault or something. And I shared on the post, another brother posted it, and I shared, and I said, you know, this brother is going through some stuff. He's dealing with some trauma that he's not getting help for, clearly, because the patterns are repeating over and over and over again. And I got slapped for that comment. You know, well, I got trauma in my past too, but I don't beat people up for it. I don't. So again, going back to what my sister shared about empathy and about not having, you know, the proper understanding of why we do the things that we do. And it's, you know, it's like, oh, okay, oh, he did that, lock him away. She did that, you know, lock her away or kill her or whatever. But until we understand root causes and get down to the root, the nitty gritty of why we are doing the things that we do, we can't expect to solve the issues. So I just wanted to share that information because we see these situations out in the public eye and we don't connect the dots.
That's right.
And I would be, you know, I don't know Chris Brown, but I'm pretty confident and pretty sure in saying that it's a high likelihood that he was sexually abused as a child, and as to why he can't seem to get it together as an adult. So that's all.
Thank you, sister. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I want to ask people in the audience if any questions. We start with sister. Yes.
Yes. What kind? How can I'm from Florida? How can I tap into your Empower Hour? Where is it?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for asking. I do have a few flyers, so I'll definitely give you one before we leave. But we're online. Facebook is our main hub.
Okay.
Under Empower Hour Talk Show.
Okay.
You like our page there. We broadcast all our shows there. It's under eLife Media platform. But we also have a YouTube channel called Miss Free the People. And that's MS, Free the People.
And secondly, is it possible to get kind of a list of the questions that you ask the young people?
Yes.
You have a list of them. Is it possible to get some of those?
If you would send me your email address, you know, after this is over with, I'll tell you. I just did a basic survey, so I'll share that.
Thank you all very much. I'm just delighted to be here, and I have to say this about our brothers at the mosque. And this was years ago. I went. There would be public meetings at the mosque in Tampa, and one evening we came out. The brothers, of course, escorted us to our cars, and across the street were these men and women with the worst cussing you could ever imagine. And the brother said to us, "Sisters, y'all will have to hear this again." Well, the next time we had a meeting, they were not even outside. Whatever they were doing inside. I just appreciated the brothers just being there for us.
Well, first I just want to thank all this courageous and powerful panel you have. My wife, they're all out there. Tomorrow I follow on social media, you know, and my sister here. You all do some wonderful work, and I'm realizing that one thing I recognize is that we have so much pain buried inside of us that social media, we can spread the news, but the news that has to be spreaded is where you can get therapeutic help. You know, we can say this happened, that happened, let's show this, I'm gonna video this, I'm gonna video that. But where do you come to heal from that?
That's right.
Where do you come to relieve that pain of what happened to you? And if that is spread across social media, I think that through you all, I can see you all doing something that will be great across the whole entire nation abroad. And we as a people, what we don't realize is that the things that happen to one of us happen to all of us. I was talking to an 83-year-old woman the other day at Howard University Hospital. She was sitting there and had her walker. She said, "Can you do me a favor? Can you call me a cab?" I said, "Sure." She said, "All this time I've been sitting here for 3 hours. No one ever, I've been trying to get someone to call me a cab. Thank you." I said, "Sure." So she said, "I'm 83 years old." And I was looking at her statue, real strong statue. She said, I was born down south. She said, "I have 14 brothers and sisters." I said, "Wow." I said, "Well, families were big back then." She said, "Yes." She said, "And I had 8 myself." I said, "Wow, you were keeping the tradition going." She said, "Well, my first child, I got pregnant when I was 12. I said, "Wow." I was a teenage father, so I kind of related. I said, "Wow." She said, "Well, no." She said, "My brother-in-law raped me." She said, my sister and my brother-in-law had a child. My mother told me, she had came out of the hospital, they told me to go and help her with the newborn. I got in the truck with him, he drove down the road and pulled over and tied me to a tree and raped me. She said, and everyone told me I was lying. She said, even though I had all of the marks on my body to show where he tied me, they all told me I was lying. She said, and then they took my baby away from me. And they raised my baby. The same person that raped me. So I said, well, she said, "No one believed me." I said, "But I believe you." When I said I believe you, she said, "You are God sent." And I gave her a hug, but then she went deeper, just to show the trauma here. And it goes back to my sister saying, we need therapy. She said, because I was thinking as a father, so when your father had 14 children, I know what's going to happen if my 12-year-old daughter get raped. I know where I'm going. And so I said, "Which is your father? Where was your father?" She said, "Well, he was always working." And it didn't make him no level mind anyway, because he raped his own daughters.
Wow.
And my mother is my sister. Oh,
My mother is my sister.
I said, "Hold up, now I'm walking, I'm as you said, we don't want to hear it, you know what I mean? So, because it's painful. So I turned away because she's so strong in her stature while she's talking about it. Like you see these spouses up here. Whatever it takes to survive or handle that pain. She was strong in her stature. Well, I'm sitting over here in tears. And I said, "Wait a minute, yeah, you." And I said, "You can run that past me again?" She said, "Yes. My mother is my sister. My father raped my mother, which was his daughter. And we both have the same father." So this is prevalent through all of our communities, from, as my brother said, slavery. This all came back. So the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan even set up systems of what we call auditing. Everybody was saying, "Hey, you all are you all in the Scientology." Well, we believe in the nation that we study all sciences. Yes. And he discovered something in there that he knew would be good for all of our people, which was the science of auditing. How to help a brother heal, how to help a sister heal, how two sisters can sit across from one another and bring each other out of the pain and the trauma that we're in. It took therapy. I was in the streets of Philadelphia and I couldn't understand, my mother, because it goes back to the woman. I never understood why my mother was always going beyond abuse. It was like my mother wanted to kill me. Now I realized I reminded her of my father. And then I realized all my years I wanted to love my mother. My mother had a scar underneath her eye that I never knew nothing about because she's very private. My sister got it out of her when she was 7 years old, after my grandmother come home from prison. Now she did 5 years for attempted murder. This is my mother's mother. So my mother had to stay with her aunt. She comes, when my grandmother gets out, her aunt, which was my grandmother's sister, said, "You need to come get your daughter." So she didn't even want to come get my mother. When she finally came and got her and my mother walking down the road, my mother said something she didn't like while she was drinking Coke. she broke the Coke bottle and stabbed my mother in the heart. 7 years old. So my mother this is what she's learning from her mother. So how does she express love? This is the way you express love, because this is what my mother did to me. And this is why I said we all have to go through a healing process. So when I come up, now I'm going through, I'm involved in gangs and gang war fights and all that kind of stuff. And then my mother says to me, well, word had it, you're trippers out there on the street. I'm looking at my mom like, because I ran away from 11, I haven't lived, with my mom since then. I'm looking at mom like, do you understand what happened to you? What you did to me? This is the way I express my anger. Because hurt people hurt people. So in order for us to grow and heal, we have to set it up. You all have the perfect avenues to help our people around the nation. And I would say from this day forward, set it up. Set it up for our people. Say, here, you come here. You want to heal, come here. You want to heal, come here. Set it up. And let's set these circles up, because that's what helped me. I had to be in a private setting where I could speak to men and express what I was going through. And then they helped me because they understood me. But all of us are in pain. And when you set these circles up, you'll see all of us will help one another in pain. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for what they shared. I met my sister when you came to the mosque. I don't know if you remember.
I do.
When I met you when you came to the mosque. I don't realize Muhammad said, no black person is irredeemable. That's a huge statement now. We got some hard nuts to crack. He said, no black person is irredeemable. Here's the caveat though. However, extreme conditions demand extreme remedies. Most of us are not willing to be extreme.
Yes.
We don't want to upset some folks. We don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. But part of our being desensitized is we are still trying to integrate with the filth that created this problem. So a lot of that trauma started when we was on them plantations.
Oh yeah.
And are still being perpetuated now, not only still through those same people, but also now to our own selves.
Yeah.
So it's going to take extreme measures. You can't get clean still riding around in the filth. You got to get totally up out of it to an extreme measure. I was watching the movie Ray Charles. When he, Jamie Foxx played him. When he wanted to go through withdrawal, they locked him down, put him in a room by himself, closed them doors, and he had to go through a long process of isolation to get that monkey up off his back. So, brother alluded to it. You got to separate totally from the filth of the culture. You got to separate totally from the filth of the people. And there are some individuals, I think one of you alluded to, or you said you heard what the minister said, and some of you also said that there were people that know what's going on, or may not, but they don't have the strength to address it. They don't want to do the hard measures. Some of us going to have to be dealt with. I'm sorry, but some of us going to be on a stick in the middle of the community saying, this is what happens to those that prey on each other. Extreme measures. It really is. Because nobody's going to do that for us but us. You know, certain mobs and Asians, they don't worry about what the police going to do. They handle it themselves. I've been to Africa, and when I was in the small, remote village, they told me, we don't wait for the authorities. We solve the problem first. The authorities come to take the dead person away. We deal with it here now ourselves. So that's going to have to be a part of the extreme measures, because we're not going to condone certain things. Mr. Farrakhan said, if a man rapes a woman, that man deserves to die. Period. There ain't no court date, there ain't no hearing, and no, we got to deal with that. Love you, brother, but that's you done broke the law. You beyond. But it starts with us. You can't worry about offending white people.
That's right.
Their way has not helped us at all. We got to make a clean cut from that. Now, that doesn't mean we're not ready, most of us not ready yet to physically make that move, most of us. But mentally, morally, socially, culturally, that's got to be done. You go to certain parts of certain areas, Chinatown, whatever, they've already separated.
Yes.
Because they know that world ain't good for them. They do business, they'll reap the monetary rewards, but they don't separate themselves for what's good for them. People do that when they want to survive. We got to be hungry enough that we want to survive enough that we got to separate from all that. I forget one of you said it. I think it might have been Brother LeVon. Part of the desensitization is we see so much filth on TV that when it happens in real life, we just like, I've seen it 100 times. They show rape on TV now.
Yes, they do.
We come to.
Yes, sir.
Yes, they do.
They got a thing flipping through the channels, BET, called Devil, something, literally call it Devil, something. It's about a basketball thing coming out. They got men kissing each other on there, on the previews, and women all up in the... We conservative on Sunday, like he said, but liberal everywhere else. And it's just a matter of time. They got a movement out now, a pedophilia movement, to make that a norm. A white congressman running for Congress, he said, we're in the era of telling the truth, like Trump said, I'm a pedophile. I'm a pedophile. I love boys.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm gonna put it out front.
That's right.
So that you all know what you're voting for.
Yes,
They're bold. Same way Sister Sudan said they got flyers out there saying you want to get into porn. That's how wicked it is now. So you can't be halfway in that to say you want to solve the problem on this side. No, it got to be a clear, hard, drastic break from all of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it ain't got no title on it. You ain't got to be no Muslim to do that. You ain't got to be no Christian. You just got to be a black man and woman that's tired
Yes, sir.
of our community that's falling in on itself.
Jeez.
In a generation of babies that we're not willing to die for.
Right.
It's gonna take drastic measures. They in the trenches. We gotta join them in the trenches. And we gotta stop hiding people that we know is doing wrong.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we ain't gotta turn them over to the police. We turn them over to ourselves. Stop hiding this. If you know Uncle such and such is in law, you know Uncle so and so, then somebody got to step to Uncle so and so and say, look,
sir.
Not only you can't come around here no more.
Yes, sir.
Love you, all that, but you can't. You got till you handle that problem. We're gonna isolate you.
Yes, sir.
And if I ever hear something, then that's the last time you got to. We excommunicate you from the family forever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it's gonna take tough law and hard resolve. Because we an extreme, all that they describing, that's past norm.
Right.
That's an extreme situation. They gotta have extreme measures. I'll talk to you.
You good.
I'm gonna be short because the brother already snatched some of my stuff away. I just want to go back. Two things I just want to say in conjunction. Everyone is prolific, is profound. One was I go back to the DNA. How do you re-tap into the DNA? People are talking about trauma, but it's interesting as a people, all the trauma that we went through, we still surmount tremendous odds, and all of you can speak prolifically. So that tells you who you are in God's eyes. You see. So how do we tap into that? Number one, and of course, there was so much enslavement, how they used the woman, to weaken the men, because they knew that our black men were strong and they wanted to keep them submissive. So that's a whole other subject, but I just wanted to go back, how do we tap into who we are as a people and helping them surmount tremendous odds. What is the testimony of surmounting tremendous odds? When I listen to these stories, it all goes, you really go back to slavery, how they used us, how they abused us, just the product of it, but we still rose up to be Honorable Louis Farrakhan and my brother here, LeVon, he comes to my conferences, and I like the way when he gets up and gives a short synopsis. I'm so proud of him because it's an international community, people. And I said, there goes the 400 years of speaking eloquently with profundity in a short amount of time. So it's still in those kids. Secondly, I just want to conclude, is that I'm also working in conjunction with the Washington Times, which is really a conservative newspaper. However, I am part of that, and I am of my organization, the Universal Peace Federation, which is comes to a conference. I am dealing with the racial polarization, Africa, Black America, and what is our role, how God sees us, in a trajectory of changing human history. And so I'm thinking, I want to keep in touch, because we have to look at I'm looking at a special edition, looking at the issue, the traumatization that we have gone through, what's still prevailing that is insidious, you know what I mean? It hurts and painful, but also maybe there's a why, and then where do we go from here as a black people? So I'm already working in that area, looking at it. So stories like this, if we did a special edition, because people don't know these statistics.
Right. That's right.
These stats. Having these stats put out to 20, 30 million readers, but with a trajectory of where do we go from here, and also giving honor, even though that we surmount the tremendous odds, but we're still sick here. We need to overcome that sickness because A, B, C, D, and so I'm just putting that on the table because I'm already working on that. Vice President, I'm already working in that, trying to put that collage, if you will, but with the objective. Listen to what he said. So I wanted to get everybody's number and we can stay in contact. And if you're out in the field with the media, I'm associated with the media, and we can see what we can make happen in this healing process.
Just real quick, just a pleasure, brother, for them to have you. I've been to a few events where the brother has, and it's literally an international platform. And what's beautiful about what we do, that those uncomfortable conversations, those awareness, those people go back and the stereotypes that they have about us. Because like the brother said, the serpent is teaching society that we're savage. This is how we conduct our sister can't be married. She has to be in the brothers. All those things are educating the world. That's saying how they want us to see us, but how do we want us to be seen? So like Brother Rory said, we have to deal with those hard truths. If we want to clean the house, we got to get the room. We have to do it. So the brother does have a beautiful platform, and I pray that we all can network. But this is just a grassroots. Inshallah, we're going to grow this, and the sister has invited us to share this platform at her location as well. So as long as we can continue to have these conversations, we'll be successful. So the floor is yours.
I just want to know, Sister Sudan, I saw your hand. You was talking about solutions. What can we do to undo a lot of the trauma based on our knowledge of DNA and our makeup? We talk a lot about knowledge of self, and immediately we go to back to our roots. That's where most people start. But I like to think of knowledge of self as biology, chemistry, the way the brain works. Because when we talk about trauma, we're really talking about the brain. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the memory that our bodies hold. That's why you can have a child that was molested at 2 or 3 years old, and she may not remember, because that's just the body's way of protecting, keeping us sane pretty much. And then she gets to a certain age, and through intimacy, she cannot understand why. When she's trying to be intimate, she can't breathe, she hyperventilates. The body holds memory. And and so when we talk about knowledge of self, that's where we start with that. So if we're talking about healing, healing isn't an outward thing. It's something that happens internally. So we talk about biology, we talk about the chemistry of the body, we talk about psychology. We got to tackle all those things. Now, all of that is knowledge of self. Knowledge of self is just not Africa.
That's right.
Knowledge of self is the way that this body functions.
Right.
Because this body is made, cut yourself today. In a week you're healed. And if you're not healed in a week, something is off with your body. Right? So whether you're diabetic, there's a sickness, there's a disease there, right? But if you're a healthy person, your body will heal itself. So we know that our bodies have the capacity to do these things. So these things are very much possible. So that's where knowledge of self comes in, right? How does the brain work, right? Trauma, that's what trauma is. That's what trauma is, where you can have a child that was violated by a Latino in a red shirt. And when she walks down the street, every Latino or maybe have a ponytail in a red shirt is a trigger for her. It may not even be that Latino man. But that red shirt, that ponytail, that, you know, it's a trigger for, that's the brain. That's the way the brain works, right? So when we talk about knowledge, we're talking about DNA, that's one way. One more thing I wanted to touch on, you talked about us not wanting to touch certain issues. One of the things I'm big at, and it's not a popular topic, and I've noticed this when I bring it up, and I do not care.
Yes, ma'am.
I was raised in a single parent home, and I have all my friends around me. I was born and raised in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, and all of my friends around me were raised in single parent households. When I come to think about it, we were just a single parent gang. And the reality is this. There's this thing that is, I like to say, the abusive, toxic matriarch is a real thing. We do not want to touch it in our community, and forgive me if I'm tearing up, is the reason why is because the issue of single parentness in our community doesn't allow us to touch it. So what happens is we preserve the toxic parent because she's doing it on her own. She's trying to provide shelter. So she is blameless in our eyes. But she's jacking our boys up and she's jacking our girls up, and we don't want to touch her.
Wow.
That is a problem. We have a lot of toxic women out here raising our children, pimping them out, and she is untouchable because we have an epidemic of single parentness in our community. That has to change. That has to change. I'm sorry, I'm passionate about it.
No,
that is a problem. They're raising our boys to be pimps. These are women. This is not just our men. This is not, we put it on the men, and it becomes absent fathers this and happy fathers there to single mothers. That is bullcrap. We have to change that. There are women out there that are destroying our children just as much as absent fathers, and we need to talk about it. And stop excusing their behavior simply because they're single. There are women out there that are single by choice. They are out here trying to be martyrs. There's brothers that wants to help.
That's right.
That wants to support their children.
Right.
And they will not allow it.
That's right.
This is starting from, you talked about layers. I'm talking about layers. When you talk about, we have a lot of incestuous families right there in Baltimore. Baltimore is like the capital of incest. A lot of incestuous families. We have a lot of cyclical trauma in our families, and nobody wants to talk about it. And this goes as far back as great-great-great-grand. And we need to understand the connectedness of this. Why is this important? Why is it important that we intervene? It is important because there are 3 generations, 4, 5, 6, 7, that are going to be affected if we don't do something about it now. We kind of dance around this.
Yeah.
The matriarch in the black community, she is blameless and she's untouchable, but she's also a part of the issue. Right. How do we address that? Sister Sudan, sorry.
You really got me going, because I want to say this. I try to get ads for my magazine, and it's black women who have money who would say, give me 2-3 pages, and they're pimping their daughters. Mothers are managers of their daughters while they strip. How do you go to a woman and you tell a girl that she shouldn't dress that way. And I've been cussed out by mothers where they was going to jump me several times. Mothers, because what I said to their daughters, you know. But I wanted to say something, and especially, I had talked to a manager at CVS. Do you know the number 2 sellers in CVS are adult diapers? Adult diapers and HIV tests. There are so many young men. I talked to one young man. I wanted to bring him to the mosque. He wears diapers, so he doesn't want anybody to touch him, you know, because they're being raped. So I talked to one brother, and he was real angry. And here's the solution base again with the Dianetics auditing. So I started talking to him because he was real angry. He was enraged. He wanted to hurt somebody. Found out that his friend, his best friend, had committed suicide because he needed some money and he had sex with some white guy. They come down Branch Avenue and they offering our boys. I did several stories. I posted a lot of videos where some of the brothers were willing to talk about being approached. That they come through our neighborhood from D.C., Washington, D.C. down to San Francisco, by the way. But they come down in our communities and they ask these little boys $25 if you show it to them. See, that's why me and my husband always try to make sure our children have money in their pocket. See, that's real. My father kept us with money in our pocket. You have any money? I don't care if it's $5. You should make sure your children have some money in their pocket or teach them how to make money. Let's stop playing games. This is real. So they don't have any money. So $25 if you show it. They say, no, get out of here. Well, okay, $50. Next thing you know, you up to $200 for pouring it out. I tell you what, I give you $400 if you do. So our boys are doing it now. A lot of our young boys are doing it. One little boy was high. He was coming out of his high. I'm talking to him. What is going on? What's the matter with you? Why are you doing this? Well, Miss Muhammad, I did something I shouldn't have did. See, I'm an auditor, so I know how to ask certain questions. I'm pulling on him. He said, I needed some money and I had sex with some guy. I'm not going to beat you up, but I'm talking to you. What made you do that? You know, what's going on? Once again, you said something about these mothers. The boy mother, she's no mother. Okay? And Minister Farrakhan said something about our youth, and I have to read what he said. Mothers have had babies that they did not want, hating the fact that they had a child that interfered with their agenda. We lost moral strength, moral values, that we now sleep with anybody, anytime, anywhere, under any condition. So, who wants the fruit of that relationship? When a baby was produced, the baby was left unguarded, unprotected. When you don't want the fruit of your womb, the government made it easy to kill the fruit of your womb. And now we wonder why our young people are cold killers. But we do not take responsibility for the cold killing that goes on in an abortion clinic all over America. If you can kill the fruit of your womb, why do you condemn the young who kills the enemy who stands in the way of their agenda, like